Paulo Costa ramps up his trash talk and comes at Chimaev's direction, and in an active campaign to not only gain the fans and Chimaev's attention, but to plant seeds for an eventual matchup with the Chechen title challenger sometime in the future, expands on the reasons for his hatred towards him, adding some insulting remarks on top of his criticism. It's difficult to miss some UFC drama as a fan these days, and the Costa versus Chimaev or Costa's girlfriend versus Chimaev situation is pretty well known by this point. For Khamzat, even responding to Paulo's callouts for a fight down the line doesn't make much sense, as he has Duplessis to face pretty soon, but the Brazilian's impressive performance last weekend, in which he reminded many what made him an interesting contender in the first place, there's some new sparks of enthusiasm around his immediate future. Considering he wants to get another fight in as soon as possible, it seems he's on the right track in his attempt to hunt for the title again. Even in case of a loss to DDP, Khamzat's and Paulo's paths might very well cross soon. Here's what the Brazilian said when asked about his beef with Chimaev.
Khamzat is a cold word. He's a cunt. He's a cunt. He has no courage to never send a message for me. He will never talk to me directly. He will never look me into the eyes because he's a coward. People need to understand that. I try to make that fight happen, and he always avoiding. UFC tried to make that matchup 5 times.
UFC 319. You're flying over there, right? You're gonna sit cage side. You'll be there during fight week. What do you think you'll run into each other at all during fight week?
Yeah, I want to be there. Just my presence gonna stress him. Just my presence. I will be there. I will be there as soon as possible. Yeah.
Josh Thompson shares thoughts on the difficulty of the challenge that his friend and former teammate Islam Makhachev faces in his clash with the welterweight champ Jack Della Maddalena whenever that fight takes place. Recently, Khabib's comments on JDM and the matchup with Islam made waves on social media. Nurmagomedov stated that he definitely thinks Jack will be Islam's toughest fight so far. His assessment of the Aussie was the following: a strong champion with elite boxing and great anti-grappling skills. He said JDM is a tougher challenge for Makhachev than Topuria, as he's twice the size of Ilya and is a great striker himself. In the technical sense, it is a fascinating matchup for sure, and Makhachev's venture to 170 might backfire pretty bad. Josh agrees with Khabib's analysis of the matchup.
Let's not count our chickens before they hatch. That's really, there's gonna be a lot in front of him with JDM. JDM is amazing. Always overlooked, and everyone continues to overlook him just right now. And I think to think that Islam's just going to walk in there and walk through him is absurd. I've had this conversation with Khabib through text. Him and I were texting back and forth, and he legit goes, look, this is going to be Islam's toughest fight to date. The physical size, his ability to box, his ability to stop takedowns, all of those things are a threat to Islam and what he does best. And so the physical side is going to be something I think people are underestimating. JDM's not a small welterweight. People keep saying like, oh, he's going to, Islam's going to be just as big. He's not going to be just as big. He's got a big body frame, but to put on that type of muscle, Islam's shoulders are not as wide. His body frame is not physically as big. Now, I do think that Islam is a big lightweight, a huge lightweight, but we're talking a big jump from 55 to 70 is the 15-pound jump. It's not the same as jumping 25 to 35, 35 to 45, and 45 up to 55.
Ciryl Gane responds to Tom Aspinall's trash talk after the announcement of their heavyweight title fight. In the latest of Dana's breaking news live streams, the UFC boss announced multiple high-profile clashes, including Merab versus Sandhagen, Ankalaev versus Pereira 2, and of course Aspinall versus Gunn. The decision to put the Frenchman in there against the new champion shouldn't come as a surprise. There's nothing the company would love more than to have another heavyweight contender better suited to fight the Brit for the title, but Ciryl is the obvious choice here considering the state of the division at the moment. The obvious problem is Jones made easy work of Gunn when the two fought, and anything other than an equally impressive domination wouldn't be the best look for the new champion, as far as the perception of his legitimacy over John. Considering how good Ciryl actually is, Aspinall has a tall mountain to climb, and just winning might not be enough. He's confident he'll run through the Frenchman though, saying Ciryl has ducked him multiple times already. Khan's not a fan of Tom's trash talk, and he's looking for a finish of his own.
He's dismissed me on multiple occasions, and I'm not the first guy that he's dismissed. The reason that I got the Pavlovich fight was because Ciryl didn't want it. He then took Curtis Blades. I just don't like the way he does stuff professionally, because that's the opposite to what I do. I'm here to prove I'm the best, not duck out fights with people.
I am the best heavyweight in the world, but I want to show everyone that I'm the best heavyweight in the world. Ciryl Gane's lost 2 title shots, and I want to give him his 3rd and get him out of there.
the stress don't the stress slide on me. So that's okay. I'm fine with that. I'm not nervous. This has had nothing for me. I got no more feeling with that. I would like to finish the fight before the end, of course, because I know it's good to finish to win the fight, but it's better to finish the fight before the end. So I'm gonna do it.
Alexander Volkanovski comments on the uncertainty regarding his next opponent as he looks to get the next fight booked as soon as possible. With the Evloev versus Pico fight falling apart, the problem in finding a worthy challenger for the Aussie's title became even more difficult. That, of course, if you ignore Movsar Evloev's winning streak and, like the UFC, think that it's not enough to grant a title shot. Movsar had a strong argument for being next in line even before they booked him against Pico, but there is an important problem that Evloev has faced his entire UFC career, something that really decides the fate of a fighter as it relates to how the promotional machine chooses to get behind them. Of course, it's his fighting style. He doesn't have a finish in the UFC, and the casual audiences don't find his conservative, grappling-heavy fighting style particularly entertaining. That's an important factor to Dana and the brass, so naturally Evloev's path to a title shot has to be longer than it would have been for a fighter on a winning streak with a more fan-friendly style. Here's what Volk thinks about the whole situation.
As I've said, I've made it clear that I believe he should be next. He deserves it. And I know that he was going to get the title shot if he was to win that fight, 100%. So now that sort of puts a spanner in the works. What happens from here? Are they pushing the fight back? Is someone going to replace him, or the winner of that fight ends up being who I face? So it leaves things up in the air for me. But at the same time, we'll see what happens. And I mean, I'm a pretty easy guy to understand, right? Whoever it ends up being, whoever they say it's going to be, and I'm going to take them on no matter who it is, right? So I'm an easy champ to understand. So, but in saying that, pretty unfortunate if that is the case. So we've got to remember that as well. Right now, we're talking before a couple of big fights. Yeah, you have, well, if Movsar was there, but you have Pico fighting someone maybe, or maybe it is Movsar, maybe we don't know the full story of that. Then you've got Diego Lopez fighting Jean Silva. I mean, a crazy win like that, that's put someone else there, right? So it could be, we could be having a total different conversation in a few weeks, you know what I mean? And we'll just see what happens. Actually, I get along with all of them.
Yeah.
Jean Silva's actually a very respectful dude, good dude. And the good thing is, and I like it when people have character, but they don't need to, we don't need to make this fake beef.